You want to know why I love September so much? It's because I'm a fall person, I'm a hoodie person, football season's right around the corner, and that also means that hockey is coming up as well. The weather is nice outside, and you can just discuss all four sports if you have a team in all the professional sports in North America in the month of October. That's why I love fall and that's why I love September so much. Happy Saturday, everybody. This is Mac, and I am back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. So I'm going to talk some Pens hockey here. It's been a while since I made a Pens video. I think the last Pens video I made was about a month ago when the Pens acquired Erik Karlsson from the San Jose Sharks. Yeah, so I think that's the last time I made a video about the Pens. So I'm going to try to keep it brief here about the Pens. I'm just going to give my thoughts about the 2023-24 upcoming season for the Pens. What I think can possibly happen, and what I really think that this team's ceiling will be for this season. So obviously, Pens made some moves in the offseason. A lot of good, and some are kind of questionable. Obviously, the biggest headline is going to be Erik Karlsson from San Jose. Brought him in here to play defense. He is the best defensive player in the league. Norris Trophy winner, and of course, helping out with the power play right there. That's one of the main reasons that we brought him in, because he can kind of be like a good two-way player as far as that aspect goes. Then of course, Ron Hextall finally out of here with all the crap that he put the Pens through with his acquisitions. He's gone. Kyle Dubas is in, and he has so far done a really good job as the new president of operations for the Pens. Along the way, we did lose some guys, Jason Zucker being one of them, which I really don't mind a whole lot, but it seems like he really was turning his career around in Pittsburgh, so that's going to kind of be a big loss to stomach a little bit. Granlund is gone. Casey DeSmith is gone. I personally thought Casey DeSmith was the better of the two goalies between him and Jarry, but, he's not at the same time starter quality, but I do understand why we felt like we need to move on from him. Brian Dumoulin is gone. Ruda is gone. Jeff Petrie and that awful contract are gone, and Josh Archibald gone as well. Bringing on in a lot of forward help for this season. Noel Ekieri at forward. Riley Smith from Vegas, we brought him in. Lars Eller brought him in. Ryan Graves brought him in on defense, and Rem Pitlock at forward as well. So Kyle Dubas really going forward heavy as far as the Pens were going, which is going to really beef up a lot of the front line right there. And I think one of the main things that the Pens need to do for this season in order to be successful, because like I said, this is the first time probably since I became a fan all the way back in 2004, which, let's be honest, I wasn't old enough back then to sit down here and get analytical about the Pens. So really, this is the first time in my life since I became a Pens fan that I don't really know the direction that we're headed. The Pens missed the playoffs this past season for the first time since Sidney Crosby's rookie season, all the way back in the 05-06 season. So I really don't know if we are going to for sure miss it for the second year in a row, or if these acquisitions that we made in the offseason, and Kyle Dubas knows what he's doing, if it's going to catapult us back into the playoffs. Because from here on out, every season that we have left with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang, it's going to be the final ride. And this is a team that hasn't won a playoff series since 2018. That's crazy to think about considering all the success that we've had. We have not won a playoff series since the first round of 2018. And this may sound controversial here, but I think if the Pens have a season where they have less than 100 points this season, Mike Sullivan really needs to be on the hot seat. That's only if we have less than 100 points, and obviously if we miss the playoffs. But I think probably the biggest reason that we missed the playoffs last year was because of a very bad bottom six, which Kyle Dubas did improve in the offseason. We had very inconsistent special teams altogether, and a really bad inability to break the puck out of the net. I mean, last year we had the second worst shooting percentage in the league, and we couldn't really find a way to get the puck out of our own zone. And not to mention, we had a terrible record in overtime as well. And, you can equate that to, we stacked up on points, we kept ourselves in the playoff hunt long enough. I mean, here's the thing. If you can't win in overtime, then those extra points don't really matter in the long run. Because there are going to come situations to where you need to win an overtime game in order to determine your fate. And that's just something the Pens haven't been doing a whole lot lately. But getting into it, I mean, Dubas did correct a lot of mistakes for guys who were just not working out here, to put it lightly, who either were middling or just had awful contracts with us thanks to Ron Hextall. And now Kyle Dubas is on the right path to fixing it. But one of the things that I'm not fully on board with is that Tristan Jarry got extended. I think we pulled the trigger on that way too soon, because my patience with Tristan Jarry is waning every single second. I really don't think that he's starter quality. There are times where he does look really solid, but inconsistency is not what we're looking for in Pittsburgh. Because let's face it, not only have we been, us Pens fans, we've been spoiled, okay? When you have two of the greatest players to ever play the game at once, Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, followed by having Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr, you're going to have a lot of playoff success, and you're going to win a lot of Stanley Cups. Pens have won 5 Stanley Cups since 1991. All right? We've been spoiled. I'm not afraid to say it. We've also been spoiled as far as the net mining goes. We had Tom Barrasso. Then we had Marc-Andre Fleury. Now we have Tristan Jarry, who is just inconsistent. That's not what we're looking for here in a goalie, because our goalie situation is incredibly thin right now. Now especially that we don't have Casey DeSmith anymore. Jake Gensel's health, that's another thing. Jake Gensel missed a lot of time last year due to injuries. And I think when Jake Gensel is fully healthy, I think that he is the life of this team. It's a passing of the torch. Sidney Crosby is always going to be priority number one with the Pens, but I think a lot of people are not putting into consideration the impact that Jake Gensel has when he's with the team as well. So my main point with the Pens this year is that not blowing it is the main point. And what I mean by that is with the core, and now especially that you get Erik Karlsson here helping out with the power play, getting your passing better, and making sure that your defense can actually be a two-way threat. You cannot have a season where you miss the playoffs again, and if you do make the playoffs, you cannot have a season where you come up short in the playoffs. Okay? I don't expect this team to win the Stanley Cup every single year because that's just ridiculous. All right? What I do expect from the Pens is competition, improvement, and progress. And what we have done in the offseason, and now that we're headed into the regular season next month, I think the Pens are on the right track to get back to being competitive because now the division is not up for grabs anymore, much less the conference. In our division alone, we got to go up against the Rangers. They're a great team. The New Jersey Devils had a phenomenal season last year. Carolina Hurricanes, great team. Our kryptonite, the New York Islanders. The Islanders do to us what we do to the Capitals. We beat them in the playoffs. I wouldn't even count out Washington a whole lot so far, either. Even though the Capitals are kind of in the same situation that we're in, you can't count them out a whole lot. I'd say the only two teams in this division, I'd say the only three teams in this division that we're fully better than are the Capitals, Flyers, and Blue Jackets. But like I kept saying all year last year, that's really nothing to beat your chest about. The Flyers are, I love to see it, but the Flyers are just one of the worst teams in the league. Columbus is a lottery team, and the Caps are just middling to mediocre. You got to go up against four really solid teams in your division, and on top of that, you got to worry about teams like Boston, Montreal. Even though the Canadiens aren't really a great team, they have our number. You got to worry about Boston. You got to worry about Montreal. Got to worry about Florida. Got to worry about Tampa Bay. Got to worry about Toronto. So those are other teams that you got to be on the lookout for in the Eastern Conference. Are we good enough to tackle in teams? Yeah, I think we are. I mean, we took all three against Tampa Bay this past season, but coming up short against Boston, coming up short against Montreal, like I said, a mediocre team like them. Giving it to the Panthers, I'll give us that. The Panthers made it all the way to the Cup. But again, coming up short against teams that you should be beating, like the Ottawa Senators as well. So it's going to be an interesting year. The Pens are coming off a season where we missed the playoffs, and now it felt like change needed to happen, and changes did happen. But let's see how it translates to the regular season. Let me know what yinz think down in the comments below. How do you think the Pens will do? How many points do you think the Pens will end up with? Where do you think we finish in the Eastern Conference? This is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.